Let's talk about resentment. What is resentment? Does everybody feel resentment? Are you a bad person if you feel resentment? Should you never feel or express resentment? Resentment can happen when there is a perceived imbalance or injustice in any social interaction. It usually manifests itself in the apparent aftermath or closure of a conflict, or it can be what happens next after the problem has found no fair solution. And we can all usually feel it. Nonetheless, it tends to get repressed and it tries to get ignored. It is a forbidden emotion because it makes you a bad person to feel it or even to express it. It makes you ugly inside and out, and not only to others, but also to yourself. It makes you petty and small and weak, as if you are supposed to be strong enough to take on the unfair treatment from others, even if it is merely perceived subjective injustice. Nietzsche in Beyond Good and Evil says, when we have to change our mind about a person, we hold that inconvenience he causes us very much against him. Human beings sense when something is unfair or when we have to make a bigger concession than the other person. We have an intuition for it. We have a deep and almost most of the time implicit sense of justice. Humans also seek to get even, and they may even look for revenge on things that have happened. What would be the difference between revenge and justice? Because the government can punish a person by killing them, call it the death penalty, and say it was justice. But if someone decides to kill someone else to get back at them for killing a loved one, then it is not justice, it is revenge, and then the person who took action into their own hands will be punished. What are the consequences of expressing resentment, really? First of all, resentment can be manifested in the form of sadness or anger. You are sad or angry at a person because you sense an injustice. Someone has crossed you and has taken advantage of your trust. They have cheated or betrayed you. So in a way, it signals to the other person that they have wronged you, hence making them aware that they have done something wrong. That is, they need to acknowledge and make that wrong right. They need to apologize and make amends. Now, it could be the case that a person has knowingly, intentionally, and deliberately done something to you either for their gain or your loss, or both things. This type of injustice can be seen when someone steals from somebody else, or when someone convinces you of something only to later find out it was some kind of scam. Normally, people here do it for their own benefit, and that benefit is more often than not a monetary gain. Either way, in these type of situations, people will be betrayed, angry, and of course, they will experience that also misunderstood and forbidden emotion, resentment, and it causes harm to all of those involved. And maybe you can ask, why is it the forbidden emotion when lust is also forbidden, for example? And I can answer that it is because even lust is acceptable in private with your spouse, but resentment won't ever be accepted, whether it be in private or in public. Lust is another intense emotion, just like jealousy, guilt, anguish, shame, euphoria, or despair. But resentment is special because unlike the other strong emotions that can be channeled to diverse people and or means, resentment is truly unacceptable. Resentment is unacceptable because it implies that you are weak, and this underlying feeling will not suit anybody, not even yourself. Now, resentment means to repeat the sentiment, kind of like remorse. So in essence, it is a feeling that does not go away, making it an emotion, then eventually a long-lasting mood and state of mind, which could forge your personality after enough time has gone by with it. But what exactly are you repeating? What feeling keeps on coming back? At its core, it is trust harmed. People will be careful to trust others, but when they do, they expect reciprocity when it comes to trust. When that trust is not correspondent, people will perceive it ever so slightly. Nevertheless, they will not talk about it because, like it was just mentioned, it implies you are weak and can't take whatever the injustice is. This is the problem. There is no culture of the feeling of resentment. People are expected to take on loads of adversity, conflict, and injustice without the need to express their true sentiment on the issue. This is the reason why people in society are usually angry all of the time. Angry at the system, angry at their circumstances, angry at the way they are treated by others with no respect, dignity, or true service or attention, with no sense of growth, and the feeling is mutual because we are all guilty of this. It is a deadly and destructive cycle of silence without true and real acknowledgement of the things that truly bother us and their manifestations. We go through life truly frustrated and resented. What would the world look like if we could all talk about the things that truly harm us and negotiate the conditions of the situations, and we were allowed to take off our masks and together enter the unknown terrain? Society has so many layers that it is hard to not only get people to talk about what really bothers them, but it is also hard to talk spontaneously for the first time. So many conventions, fixed linguistic expressions, and rules of etiquette which obstruct true freedom of speech. How do we get past this? Well, the same way social movements have garnered force for their causes, from women's suffrage to the civil rights to the LGBT movements. That is, talking about it, making a video about it, sharing the ideas, and becoming aware of the underlying problems still plaguing our civilization. A problem is never truly solved until all of its pertinent implications are discussed. This takes work, but it is also the only and truly way forward. Without recognition of the subjacent problems of society, we are destined to be stuck. This is true for the emotional terrain of resentment as much as it is for the behavioral and legal aspects of last and current centuries' social organizations. Resentment does not mean feeling betrayed because you trusted somebody that has now not reciprocated that same feeling of trust. Resentment is more of a signal which truly fights for a fairer and more just society. If resentment is not used as a means, it is ultimately the feeling which will allow us to move forward as a society. If resentment is used as a means to achieve an ulterior goal that has nothing or little to do with the implications of a situation, then it will continue to destroy relationships, just as never having expressed the feeling in the first place. Don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and explore more on Abstracto. If you stayed until the end of the video, thank you. Next video will be about los arquetipos y los hábitos de la mente.